I'm just finishing up a morning. What's morning? Rick and Morty. And it felt weird to listen to a squealy car go by. Get that fixed. Driving way too fast. I'm just finishing up my morning listening. Today it was the book Inward by Young Pueblo or Diego Perez. And it was strange to listen to a book after The Master and His Emissary, which took me over a month and a half to listen to and to really deeply process. And when I finished the book, I think yesterday, I didn't want to start another book right away. I wanted to spend some time with those thoughts, but I had to do quite a bit of driving yesterday, so I thought I'll put on a short book. So I looked in my Audible library and found Inward, popped it on, and I wish I hadn't. So I think what I'm going to do for December is process books that I've listened to. The Master and His Emissary being the first, but also I've had 3 extraordinary reads in the past few months. The first was The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas Kuhn, then The Open Society and Its Enemies by Karl Popper, and finally The Master and His Emissary by Ian McGilchrist. And those 3 books, all long, incredibly complex listens, but wow, earth-shattering, paradigm-shattering. So I think maybe for the month of December, rather than diving into new content, I'm going to process the last few months of content and get to know it better and look at the world through those lenses a bit more. And if you're interested in any of my book reviews on these and many other books, I post them on Patreon, where I record a somewhat lengthy review or thoughts after each book I listen to. Okay, go get some tea and go to work. It's another snowy day in paradise. It's getting later in the day and I still haven't moved yet, and I'm noticing this pressure building. I'm noticing a sense of claustrophobia, like my day is closing in on me, like I gotta get out there, but yet there is this really, really strong repulsion to going out and running. And whenever I feel that battle and that intense resistance to movement, I want to pause and I want to really let that sink in. I want to investigate what's going on. And the majority of my runs, in fact, I think all of my runs of late have been on the road around town. And even though there is value in that, even though it does shift me to some degree, it's never like running on trails in the mountains. That's a completely different experience for me, and that really opens me up in a way that running on the road never does. And I feel more pressure while on the road to think about pace, to think about cadence, to think about running form. And that never happens when I'm running on a trail. I'm in the world. But when I run in town, I'm very, very conscious of my body and how my body feels and what it's doing. And that's more difficult. So the treadmill is actually the worst example of this. When I'm on the treadmill, I am so 100% focused on how my body feels and what it's doing that it becomes exhausting mentally to have that level of intense focus. So running in the roads, kind of in the middle, and running on the trails, I forget that I have a body and I just fly through the world exploring it. So I'm noticing that I'm kind of done running around town on the roads. It just doesn't feel good. So as I'm sitting here, I know I want to move, and I'm kind of negotiating with myself. And it's like, okay, let's not go out there. What happens if we agree to not go out there? What happens to the pressure? And pretty quickly it starts to dissipate, and I start to feel better in my day right now because I've just had this negotiation. And I think about the elliptical machine right there, and is there any resistance to that? Like, is this a legitimate, my body is just buried and I need to recover situation, or is it just being outside on the roads, not feeling good? And when I tuned into the elliptical, I had no resistance. There was actually some excitement, like, yeah, let's get over there, let's do that. Let's knock out some good sessions. So I've got this thing in me that says, you're the guy that's supposed to be running every day no matter what. And if I allow that to be a defining feature of who I am, it's going to cause me suffering. So I've got to let that go. And I do let that go on a regular basis. I've been doing a lot of elliptical over the past, 6-8 months without much running. And I'm totally okay with that. So this is going to be one of those times where I'm going to hop on the elliptical, and who knows? I may not run tomorrow. I may not run the day after. I don't care. I'm going to move as long as my body says that movement is okay and that I don't need rest. And right now that's the message I'm getting. Like, yeah, I'm excited to do that, but not run. And we'll see what happens. And at some point, I'm going to get motivated to go outside and run. When the mountain looks white, that's generally a good signal. That's something that gets me excited. When I see a lot of snow up there, it pulls me. I want to go investigate. And there are generally fewer hunters in the woods when it's snowy. So we'll see. I don't know. But I'm going to allow myself not to run for at least today. But I'm guessing that I probably won't run tomorrow either. And just let it take its course. All right? See ya. Today's project is finishing up the wiring for the new light, the new switches, and the new outlets in the pantry below me. And I've got to tear up the floor and cut notches and beams and tear out old wiring, put in new wiring. Some of the wiring, I don't even know where it goes or what it does, and I can't get rid of it, so trying to make the best of what we got here. Cutting a channel in an old beam with a rubber hammer and chisel for the electric cable. This is what a new copper wire looks like. This is what copper wire in an old house looks like. It's got a patina. You can see the green as opposed to the nice reddish color. So took a little baggie filled with ketchup, the acid from the tomato and the vinegar. Got 2 wires in there now. Gonna clean those off. That's my sister's recommendation. That's how she cleans copper jewelry. So we'll see how that works out. Today's sweat stain either looks like a Space Invader or perhaps Stewie from Family Guy.